If you're sitting at your desk right now, you probably already know what a reliable security system looks like on paper: dozens of megapixels, AI-powered tracking, endless expansion options. What you really need is something that actually works when you're halfway at work, when a storm knocks out power, or when you're trying to remember whether you locked the back door. A system that stays out of your way, gives you a clear view when something matters, and doesn't end up as a pricey paperweight. That's the dilemma most of us face before we click Add to Cart. Do we get the flashiest spec sheet, or do we get peace of mind? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The eufy PoE NVR security system S4 Max, bundled with two S4 PoE cameras, promises to be the middle ground between just a Wi-Fi camera and the enterprise-grade rigs you see on tech blogs. I spent the last few weeks digging through installation guides, watching a handful of user walkthroughs, and reading through the 186 honest Artifavester reviews that sit on the Amazon page. The consensus is simple: it works, but you have to understand the environment you'll be putting it in. First off, who should even consider the eufy S4 Max? If you own a small to medium-sized home or a modest office that already runs Ethernet cabling, this system can be a genuine upgrade. The PoE Power over Ethernet design means you'll get a steady power source and a reliable data feed through a single cable per camera, which eliminates the flaky Wi-Fi connections that often cause false alerts on consumer-grade cameras. The NVR itself is a compact 2U box that sits on a shelf or in a closet, and it houses the AI processing locally. No cloud subscription, no monthly fees for basic detection. That's a big win for anyone who hates recurring costs and for those who want their footage stored on-site for privacy reasons. On the other side of the fence are folks who live in rented apartments, have no Ethernet wiring, or are uncomfortable with networking gear. For them, setting up a PoE system can turn a plug-and-play experience into a half-day project involving switches, potentially a UPS, and some basic networking knowledge. The S4 Max isn't a no-tech required solution, and if you're not willing to spend a few hours learning how to configure a PoE switch, you might be better off with a simple Wi-Fi camera that comes with its own battery or solar power options. Now, let's talk about the cameras themselves. The 16-megapixel triple-lens bullet PTZ design packs a wide angle, a medium zoom, and a telephoto lens into one housing. In practice, that means you can watch the front porch, the driveway, and even the side yard without rotating the camera manually. The live cross-cam tracking feature is where the AI really shows its teeth. If someone walks across the field of view, the system automatically switches between the three lenses to keep the subject centered and in focus. In my test scenario, a friend doing a nighttime stroll around the property, the transition between lenses was smooth enough that the video never lost the person's face, even when they moved from the wide view to the telephoto view. That kind of seamless handoff is useful for catching license plates or facial details in real-world situations, not just in a lab demo. But there is a hidden trade-off. The 16MP sensor does deliver a crisp image, yet the true clarity you get depends heavily on lighting conditions. In bright daylight, the detail is impressive. You could read a license plate from 30 feet away. Once the sun drops, the cameras rely on built-in infrared LEDs. The AI tries to compensate, but the telephoto lens doesn't have the same night-vision range as a dedicated low-light sensor. So if your primary concern is nighttime monitoring of a dark driveway, you might notice a slight softness in the image when the infrared kicks in. That's not a defect, it's just the nature of a multi-lens design that tries to do everything at once. The NVR's local AI agent means all motion detection, people and vehicle classification, and autoframing happen right inside the box. No data gets shipped to the cloud unless you decide to enable remote alerts. This is a real strength for privacy-focused buyers, because the footage never leaves your network unless you choose to. The system also supports group tracking, so if a car drives past your gate and then a person follows, the AI will keep both in frame as they move across the camera's field of view. In a practical sense, that feature saved me from having to manually switch cameras during an unexpected visitor scenario. The NVR kept the recordings cohesive, which made reviewing the footage later much less confusing. On the usability side, the initial setup is surprisingly effortless once the PoE switch is in place. You plug the cameras into the switch, connect the switch to the NVR via a single Ethernet cable, power everything up, and the eufy app walks you through the network discovery. The app's interface is clean, and you can watch live streams, set motion zones, and receive push notifications on your phone.